We are okay. We have started here. So,
We
hello.
have?
This is yes. We have end broadcast. See that shows you that we are out there. We are broadcasting to the world. Hello. This is Bill Peschel,
And I'm Teresa Peschel.
and welcome to Agatha Christie They Watched. And today we have a special surprise for you. At least one of the best movies we have ever seen. Probably one of the best adaptations we've ever seen.
Of Agatha Christie in general, and specifically of Agatha's seminal novel, The Murder of Roger Ackroyd, which is, even if she had, I think I said this last week, but even if Agatha had driven over the cliff in her Morris Minor into the quarry, when she started her fugue state for her just prior to her 11-day disappearance, this novel she would still be remembered today for this novel. And it is so bizarre that the Poirot production company, filming in English, very familiar with the material, they did they did a version of Roger that was so bad it was to the point of parody, and they totally did not trust the material, and involving gun battles in chemical factories. And you think, what?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. There
And
we
I see
go.
that the technical genius over here is still fooling around with making things
Perfecting
work.
it. But yes, that is the shootout in the chemical factory, which everyone remembers from the novel, of course.
At least they didn't put a gun in Poirot's hands. Whereas if it had been Sir Kenneth Branagh doing it, he would have put the gun in Poirot's hands, because that's how he rolls. But
Right,
anyway,
and that's a reminder. We did this last week. We analyzed the Agatha Christie Poirot David Suchet episode last week. Now we're talking about one's called Poirot's Failure. It is the murder of Roger Ackroyd.
and it is in Russian. We will not even attempt to pronounce any of the Russian that shows up on screen, or how they pronounce Poirot, or anything else like that. Let's start with the Russians. When the very, very few Agatha Christie films that we have seen, and I think this is true of the Sherlocks as well,
Mm-hmm.
they tend to be extremely faithful to the source material. They generally are, you're going to see the same murderer, you're going to see the same plot, you're going to see the same characters. There may be minor changes here and there, but it is going to be faithful to the text. It is going to be faithful to the text. It belongs in the category that I call traditional and faithful to the text. That's category number one, in which you put international films. And basically two countries do that, and two cultures do that. The Russians and the Japanese, they're both very faithful to the text.
Okay, and I apologize for the keyboard clicking because I just had to. I wanted to post a comment, but yes.
And so when you film a novel like Roger Ackroyd, in which you can only read it once, because the second time around you're reading a radically different book, how do you approach the narrative? Do you rewrite it completely? Would you hand me a Kleenex, dear? Do you rewrite it completely and not trust the audience, or do you follow the text in the way that Agatha wrote it? And the Russians with Poirot's Failure, it starts and ends with Dr. Shepard, and all along Dr. Shepard is narrating. And yes, I'm sorry, there are going to be spoilers. It cannot be helped with Roger Ackroyd. It simply cannot be helped with Roger Ackroyd. But there are spoilers. But it starts and ends with Dr. Shepard staring off into space as he is writing his manuscript and realizing what he did wrong, and how he was completely fooled, and part of it was because he fooled himself as to how good a detective Hercule Poirot actually is. There are weirdnesses with this film. It is divided into 5 sections, and each section includes a little opening scene of an ocean liner. And you hear, this is one of the things that they added, where Dr. Shepard stares off moodily into space and talks about how he has always wanted to escape the little village of King's Abbot and go off to sea.
And this is the beginning of the first episode here.
Yeah.
And this repeats itself throughout. This is his dream, is to be able to go out
And leave.
and leave. And yes, the Russian weather plays a role. This is psychotropic weather, pouring down rain. And this is the opening sequence here. And as you could see, they overlaid the rain falling on the documentary footage. And they only did it on this one here, but that's part of the introduction.
They did that on all of the opening credits, too. The opening credits all dissolve in the rain, just like Dr. Shepard's ambitions and hope all dissolve in the rain.
Mm-hmm.
Another change that they did to the text is that, very weirdly, opening and closing of each of the 5 episodes includes a little live clip in English of Orson Welles playing Dr. Shepard and Hercule Poirot, I think,
Mm-hmm.
in the Campbell Soup Company's radio broadcast from like 1935 of the Murder of Roger Ackroyd. And it is odd. I don't know why they do it, but they do.
Well, I think it just lends an atmosphere to it because the radio plays music. Dr. Shepard has music and they play radio on it, and this is just another way of doing it.
A wonderful moody jazz score, and sometimes they sing in English.
Yeah. There's English songs as well, and it's
and
part
Caroline
of the.
Shepard is seen reading an Agatha Christie mystery, but they don't make any big deal of it.
Right. It's just a nice little touch there as well. So this is over 5 parts, basically 50 minutes, 55 minutes. So we're talking 5 hours here. And Teresa and I have seen this 4 times. And we saw it again last night. We finished watching 3 episodes, and we enjoyed it.
And I know every moment that is coming, and I still enjoy the film. It's really hard to criticize or to speak critically about a film that is virtually flawless, because there's nothing to say. Whereas with the David Suchet, and poor David Suchet, he did the best he could with the dreadful script that he was handed. He must have just rolled his eyes, and he's been extremely polite about it, but he knew what he was faced with, and he did the very best he could. And so there's plenty to say about this, but you watch this and there's nothing to say except, wow, this is just so perfect.
Yeah.
Now, we got lucky with finding a copy of it on DailyMotion a number of years ago with English subtitles, because it comes and goes, and amazingly, it seems to be on DailyMotion again with English subtitles. So if you want to see it, grab it now before it disappears once again into the ether. But even if you are not able to find the English titled Roger Ackroyd, if you are very familiar with the novel, it is so close to the text that you can read a scene, watch the film, read a scene, watch the film. They even play mahjong. There's a scene where Dr. Shepard and Caroline are playing mahjong. They don't include any of the neighbors. Again, this is one of the changes that they made, and it's a very minor change. But in the novel, Dr. Shepard has more interaction with other people besides a couple of his patients. The other people are present at the mahjong game.
You got neighbors. Other neighbors.
He talks to other people occasionally. All of those people are disappeared, and when you see him walking through the streets of King's Abbot or at the train station, he is always alone. He is isolated.
Yeah.
And this was a directorial choice, I think. I believe that this was a directorial choice to emphasize his isolation from the rest of humanity. Even though Caroline, you see her out and about a little bit, but she is somehow not isolated from other people the way Dr. Shepard is.
Yeah, she is the forerunner of Miss Marple. She is, although she's not an elderly woman, but she is Dr. Shepard's sister. They live together.
She is his older sister.
His older sister, but she's not Miss Marple's age.
Oh no. But if you say that Dr. Shepard is 45, she's 47.
Right. And she takes care of him. She knows him. And there are times, and I think this is one of the pleasures of watching this several times, you're going to hear a line, and I think this is kind of like what we're learning about Jane Austen, is that there are going to be lines there that have quite a bit of meaning. She knows her brother very, very well, and she's afraid for him.
And she knows him well enough to actually tell Poirot that he is weak.
Mm-hmm.
Then that she has kept him from his weakness. and she does not know what he did.
Not until the end.
Yes, not until the end.
Not until it's too
that's
late.
another slight change that they made.
Mm-hmm.
And if you really think about the ending, when Dr. Shepard does something he does not do in the novel, and that is he picks up a handgun along with the Veronal, and you think, what exactly are you going to do? Because and again, I'm so sorry, but I have to do spoilers here. I assume everybody has read the novel or watched the film, and if you haven't, then you should rush off and do that.
You should stop right now and then come back later. You'll thank us for it.
Yes, you will thank us for it. And when we get to witness for the prosecution, we will say the same thing. But he in the novel, Agatha is subtle, but he does what Mrs. Ferrars did. He takes the Veronal. In the Russian version, you're not sure if he took the Veronal, which leaves him, Caroline will find him slumped over dead, or he shoots himself, which is really obvious that it's suicide, and it's messy and bloody and awful and shocking, and she will have to cope with that. Or because he has peeked in on her sleeping self, what he actually does with the revolver.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't know. And you don't know, and you think about all those moments before when you see flashes of resentment on his part toward his managing older sister.
Mm-hmm.
And Caroline is right. He is weak. He is weak. Dr. Shepard has been blackmailing Mrs. Ferrars since he examined her husband's body and realized a year ago and realized that she killed him, and he has been blackmailing her. And despite all of his talk about, I want to go off and
see the
world, he stays in his little village of King's Abbot. And I believe what he did in the novel with the money,
he speculated.
Yeah, he speculated on the stock exchange and lost every penny.
Lost every penny of it, so he couldn't leave.
And he had to lie to Caroline. And, you wonder again, see, the thing about him speculating on the stock market is she may not have even known he was doing that.
I would think so.
That's probably what he did, because if he had told her, hey, I got this inheritance, she would have said, who inherited money? Who of our relatives left you this big wad of money?
Yeah.
But he has this opportunity to do something, and he doesn't. He stays because he can't seem to break out of out of the little trap that he's in.
He gets greedier. He gets. That's one reason why near the end, when Poirot goes to the man in charge of Mrs. Ferrars' affairs, and we find out she paid out £20,000 over a year, which was an enormous amount of money, and he lost it all. And he could have left right then and there.
He could have left right then and there. And, think about how he lost all that money, £20,000, which is still a lot of money today. But in the novel, they make a big deal of Flora stealing £40, which is a tiny percentage of £20,000. And they're making a big deal of £40, which I guess would be like a couple of $1,000s today.
Mm-hmm.
But the £20,000 is an astronomical amount of money for your typical citizen in 1926.
Mm-hmm.
I will also say that, this is being extremely faithful to the text. It is a contemporary for 1925, 1926, no question. Although they did a little filming in England, and yet it looks subtly not English. The clothes aren't quite right, especially for the women. The hairstyles, Miss Russell's hairstyle, that does not look English to me. I'm not sure how to describe it with the braided crown.
It looks Germanic. It looks like a German Hausfrau type, where the braids run up behind. They're almost like a halo,
a halo, a golden crown.
A golden crown, yeah.
And when you watch the set decoration, it is just subtly not English. I think they did a great job in how it looks, but it doesn't look English to me.
Yeah, and what they also did, and this will give us a chance to show them some of the set decoration, is one of the things they did, because the book has it written, it's written from Dr. Shepard's perspective.
Yes.
And so what they
Agatha
had to do...
only did this twice, that she did this narrative trick.
Mm-hmm. Where was the other one? Endless Night.
Endless Night, which is also a novel you can only read once,
Right.
because the second time around you were reading something radically different.
Right. But here, and again, this is Dr. Shepherd and his sister, and this, you can see right here, this is not a house you'd find in England in the 1920s. So they have this looks very Russian, very heavy wood. But you're also seeing
stuff, lots and lots and lots and lots of stuff.
You're also seeing Dr. Shepherd thinking to himself, and this is how they get around the first-person narrative, and they do flashbacks as well. That's the housemaid.
No, that's Miss Russell, the housekeeper.
The housekeeper, yeah. And he's just thinking to himself and what's going on. And a lot of this, because of this cast, we have a relatively very small cast and no extras. There's nobody walking in the background. You have Roger Ackroyd, who is this self-made man, a very powerful man in the village, very wealthy man.
And he likes controlling his family with his money.
Right. Because then there's his niece, Flora
Ackroyd, her mother, Mrs. Cecil Ackroyd, and this is one of the loopier Mrs. Cecil Ackroyds that you will see.
That's right. I don't have a picture.
Oh, you didn't get a picture of Mrs. Cecil Ackroyd, especially with one of those bizarre fringed turbans.
Oh, absolutely.
Or she's wearing a bed jacket and a cap in bed when she has Dr. Shepherd see her, and it is an explosion of ruffles.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I need to know more. So there's Roger Ackroyd, his sister, or his sister-in-law, and of course she's conniving for money. She's whining to Dr. Shepherd about how stingy Roger is, and Flora actually is the one who goes, and she is engaged to Ralph Payton, who is, God, I'm gonna have to change that. Some things I'm making changes on the fly here, if you forgive me, but just part of our charm that we're so incompetent. But Ralph Payton is the adopted.
He's Roger Ackroyd's adopted son. He was the son of Roger's, I would guess, wife, who had been previously married.
Mm-hmm. And he's the heir. He's the heir
because Roger and his wife, who has been deceased for some time, they didn't have children of their own. Ralph Payton, whom you get the implication Roger raised, is as close as he's going to get to a son and heir. And the next closest relative is Flora, who is his brother's daughter.
Right.
So, and in fact, that brings up the question where Mrs. Cecil Ackroyd, the sister-in-law, complains that why she, as the mother, gets less money than her daughter does. And the reason is because you married in, but the daughter is my brother's daughter.
Right.
You married my brother, but you're not genetically related to us.
And Flora had agreed to marry Ralph because basically they're poor relatives and they need the money.
Yeah. And again, this is something that a modern audience really has trouble with. And I'm seeing a lot of this in as I study up on Jane Austen, how critical it is for young women of this class to marry. They really can't go out there and get jobs. And Ursula Bourne is to be admired because she is in a similar situation to Flora Ackroyd, you could say. She, there's a little bit more detail in the novel, but she's like one of the Bennet sisters. They're gentry, but she didn't marry, there wasn't enough money for a good dowry, and she wasn't going to be a governess or a paid companion. And she said, I'll go to work as a housemaid. I know what to do, and I can be somewhat independent and have my own money. And her sister, Mrs. Folliot, writes the reference for her so that Ursula is able to get a job as a housemaid. And she does a good job at it. Every time you see anyone comment on Ursula as a housemaid, she is the head housemaid, and she does a good job of everything that she does. She's certainly seen enough of it, but she's very professional about it.
Mm-hmm.
And she does something that for a woman of her class is really startling. She is working to clean another woman's house. And one of the things with gentry class and upper class women is they will talk about jobs that they want to do, but somehow those jobs never involve gutting chickens on the line at Purdue.
And Agatha reused this trope in the 450 from Paddington.
Yes, that's right, because Lucy, I'd totally
Lucy
forgotten that.
Lucy
Lucy
Islesbarrow.
Islesbarrow.
What a lovely name.
She's gentry class, she's well educated, and the job openings to her were so few, but she decided that she would be the super housekeeper, the woman who would come in and take over so as to run everything that you need to be run in your household while you were doing something critically important that you simply cannot afford to not have things work. And again, and you know, like I said, Ursula Bourne is to be admired, and she meets Ralph and she falls in love with him. I think we actually get a line of dialogue. We saw each other and we knew.
Mm-hmm.
And now that Ralph has been cleared, Ursula will make him into a much better man than he otherwise would be. And if he has any sense at all, he will listen to her and do what she suggests, and he'll become a better man for it. And they'll be wealthy, and they'll live well, and they'll have children, and they'll be happy. But I think in the long run, Flora's going to be a lot happier with Major Blunt, even if he is 15 years older than her. He'll be a lot happier.
Absolutely. And that's Major Blunt. And that's sort of a Russian idea of what a white hunter looks like.
Yes, a great white English game hunter.
And sometimes
and
it's
another trope that has gone with the past,
gone away.
With the wind.
And at the same time, I can't help but think that this is a woman dressed up as a man with a fake mustache on. But when there's other scenes as well. There's a great scene in the end which they added to this, where there's a scene in which Poirot confronts Major Blunt and tells him the truth that Flora is in love with her.
And you look at Major Blunt, he's got to be at least a foot taller.
Yeah. But they add to this.
They add this little tiny bit, and I think it's coming up right now.
But this shows you kind of the pace of the movie. It is slow, but there's so much to watch. I mean, you just looking at Major Blunt and trying to see the light dawning, and there's Poirot with his outrageous mustache, and he's always winking. He's doing all kinds of things.
And when you see him in the background, this Poirot is always rearranging objects on tables and mantelpieces to line them up perfectly. And I think you can't possibly have missed it. I know
it's coming up. It's coming up. He has to say, but the key is lost, which is not from the book, but it's a lovely metaphor.
Oh, it's wonderful. And that's the police inspector who is not very capable, but he is capable of listening to Poirot.
Mm-hmm.
He is capable of listening to Poirot. And
yes, then the light is dawning, and this is slow, but we're riveted.
We were riveted
by this. If nothing else, there's always looking at the characters, there's looking at the backgrounds,
and there
all
are
the
movies
furnishings
that are poorly paced, and I watch them and I think, oh God.
Yeah, 1980. Why didn't they ask Evans?
Here we go.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly, like in some Russian play.
Like if you've ever seen Chekhov's Cherry Orchard or anything along those lines. And then he does the manly thing that great white hunters do, They've
and
look at that hand. That is huge.
He's a big man. He's got to be 6'2".
Yeah.
But he really embodies Hector Blunt. And when we get after Christmas, we're going to take a 2-week break, and then we're going to watch the Japanese version, and that's a different version of Hector Blunt again, but it's very appropriate for that film. And again, he is distinctive and outside the larger group, and that's something that Hector Blunt has. He is
Poirot flexing his hand and I guess putting it on the wall, just kind of
make sure nothing is broken.
Yeah.
But he Hector Blunt is outside of the larger group. He is a friend of Roger Ackroyd. He's been there before. He's met Flora before. He was there the previous year. And Hector Blunt is probably the only person, in fact, I think he is. Hector Blunt is the only person of the crowd of suspects who did not lie to Poirot. The only one.
He actually did, though. Because the whole...
That's right, he did. Because he lied about being in love with Flora.
He didn't want to admit it. And that's what the point of that whole scene is about. They added to it, and it added to the book.
Oh, yes, it really does.
I really enjoy that.
Love that. And this is where a movie can do something, where you take the source material and you think, wow, it would be a little better with just this little cherry on top right here.
Yeah.
But he lies about something that is, it's very important to him.
Oh, yeah.
But it's
absolutely.
not criminal. It doesn't involve gambling. It doesn't involve blackmail. It doesn't involve theft. It doesn't involve snooping for wills, which is what Mrs. Cecil Ackroyd does. Every other person there
Hmm.
has major league secrets. Miss Russell, with the son that she is giving money to, her illegitimate son,
Drug addicted
her
son.
illegitimate drug addicted son, whom she still loves and does not want to see him arrested for murder and hanged.
Yeah.
And all of these people lie. Ursula Bourne, she lies about her background. But when she discovers that
Ralph is arrested.
no, she
No.
discovers that Ralph is going to be engaged to Miss Flora.
Oh.
That's when she goes to Roger
Oh.
Ackroyd and says, "You can't do this. I'm already married to him." And they have this big blow up that you only hear about off screen. And she gives her notice immediately, or he fires her. She gives her notice immediately.
2 weeks notice, which is why she's still hanging around
Yeah,
the
which
house.
is why she's still hanging around the house, which gives them time, Miss Russell time, to find another super competent housemaid. And her lie also doesn't involve theft or blackmail or snooping around of wills. Her lie is different.
Hmm.
And it's different her lie is for love, in the same way that Hector Blunt, who has the least amount of lying of anybody on screen.
And this is the structure of the book, and how it really contributes to the surprise of the solution, is that everybody is lying about something, everybody is hiding something, and Poirot has to root them all out one by one, find out what that is about, and then you can clear away, once all that is cleared away, then he could see who really killed Roger Ackroyd.
And another thing that finally came out to me as I'm watching this, and you think about why Poirot would start suspecting Dr. Shepherd right away. And the answer is not just that weird, time difference. You said you left at, it was verified when you left the house, and then you said when you got to here, but there was too much time involved. How did this happen? How did this happen? How could it have taken you so long? And there's that weird little lie, and there's the weird phone call. And again, Dr. Shepherd gets the weird phone call, the joke phone call that alerts him to rush to the Fernley Manor and discover that Roger Ackroyd has been stabbed to death. Why does he get that phone call? Because why would a murderer call him? And when you stop and think about it, the answer is obvious, because Dr. Shepherd had to be there on the scene. So therefore, Dr. Shepherd has to arrange for a phone call.
Well, also that the body had to be discovered that evening and not the next morning.
Because that gave him time to do what he did. But the other reason I think that Poirot became suspicious very early on of Dr. Shepherd is, as soon as he hears about the blackmail, that Mrs. Ferrars was being blackmailed because she had murdered her husband, who was the attending physician? Who was the doctor who looked at Mr. Ferrars' husband and said gastritis and alcoholism? And Mr. Ferrars was an alcoholic. He was an abusive alcoholic. But at the same time, Dr.
Who's
Shepherd,
capable of looking at the body and saying that's poison?
Yeah, who would have been capable of feeling suspicious about Mr. Ferrars' remarkably convenient death for Mrs. Ferrars? And the answer is Dr. Shepherd. He would have been the person. And in fact, I think at one point Caroline says, "Oh, I know she poisoned him.
Yeah.
He deserved it."
Yeah.
And if Caroline, his sister, can say, "Oh, I know Mrs. Ferrars poisoned her husband," why would Dr. Shepherd not say that? And the answer is because he was blackmailing her.
Mm-hmm.
And again, this shows the weakness, how beautifully Agatha brings out his weakness, because when Dr. Shepherd examined Mr. Ferrars' body, and all of this takes place off screen before the novel opens, he actually had several choices. He could have, in the interests of truth and justice, reported Mrs. Ferrars to the police. "I believe that she poisoned her husband. I think she was fully justified, but she poisoned her husband." That's choice number one. Choice number two is to look at the body and say, "Yeah, you did it, but he deserved it, and so I'm never going to say anything to anyone."
Mm-hmm.
And then he chose choice number three. "You poisoned your husband. I'm not going to say anything, but I'm going to blackmail you." And that shows his essential moral failure and his greed. Because even choice number one, I know you poisoned your husband and I have to tell the police because it's the right thing to do. That is justice without mercy. That is justice without mercy, but it is still justice. But choosing option number three, I know you poisoned your husband and and I'm not going to admit it to the police, but I am going to blackmail you. That's a really bad choice.
Yeah, and this shows up throughout
There's no
the
justice and no mercy.
yeah, and this shows up throughout the episodes where Poirot talks about a weak-willed man, and ostensibly he's talking about Ralph Payton,
But
but
he's
he's also
Dr.
looking at
Shepherd.
Dr. Shepard. And again, one of the things we haven't really even touched on is just how brilliant the actor playing Poirot, remember his name?
Constantine Rakin.
Constantine Rakin is how they're able to do things that add to the play. There's one in which he's talking with Dr. Shepard, and this is kind of like almost artistic. They're in the middle of a conversation in the forest, and a windstorm suddenly begins to kick up.
Yeah, it is autumn, as you can tell by the leaves. Unlike the David Suchet Poirot episodes, which are always being filmed in June, you can tell by the rhododendrons in bloom, or the wisteria in bloom, or the hydrangeas in bloom. This doesn't. This is not spring.
Mm-hmm.
This is not spring.
No, clearly not spring, and I don't quite know why this is, but I
Yeah, we
love
don't know
it's a
why
way
they did this.
it just lends a little atmosphere, and then the scene ends in a very odd way as well, in which Poirot is walking away, and it's almost like
The wind stirs his brain.
the wind stirs his brain. I don't know why he's staring at the bench to be obvious, but he sees something.
He sees something.
And then he realizes what he has to do. And this is where he sends Dr. Shepard off to investigate
Mrs. Foley,
Ursula
Bourne's references.
Yes, investigate Ursula Bourne's references. So he's going to send him away. And that also gives him time to question Caroline again without the doctor there. So he's actually doing two things here.
Yes, and maybe seeing that bench sitting empty in the windstorm, and you think, okay, I have to get rid of him. The wind is going to carry him off so that I can sit on a park bench without anybody listening and ask Caroline things.
Mm-hmm.
And there's so many little added bits, but they all enhance the movie. And I cannot recommend it highly enough. Like I said, it is for right now apparently available on DailyMotion, so grab it while you can.
Mm-hmm. But at the end of the scene, though, actually let it run, because it's almost like it's out of Japanese manga, where they insert scenes of nature to kind of give you that contemplation. And he's walking away, and then they jump cut to him walking down further, and then he's as if Shepard is standing there watching him going away and thinking, why am I doing this? What is his purpose? And Dr. Shepard is really not very bright, to be honest. He's just not.
And the actor playing him does a wonderful job again, because you see moments, he is genuinely confused. He is genuinely startled when Flora Ackroyd says, why, yes, of course, I spoke to my uncle at 10 o'clock. And he's like, what?
Because that was not planned at all. The initial scene in which he meets Poirot, he has that slight upper lip protruding that kind of doesn't look good. At times he's handsome, at times he's humorous, he's concerned. And again, this is the first meeting with Poirot, and because of his mustache, Dr. Shepard says, oh, he must be a hairdresser. Caroline doesn't know who he is, except he comes from France or Belgium. And
yeah, they haven't worked it out yet.
And this is their first meeting. And you can see this is the backyard of Dr. Shepard's house. There's a steep decline, and Poirot is living next door to him. And the architecture is not British.
No, it doesn't look British. And Dr. Shepard even comments about how their house on the side of a cliff is like an ocean liner at sea. And there's also a sequence with, again, because Dr. Shepard is an attractive man, and he is, he's a doctor. That makes him a very eligible bachelor. And you can see Mrs. Cecil Ackroyd making a play for him, because even though she's certainly older than he is, but at the same time, she would like the security of having a respected husband to pay her bills.
Mm-hmm.
And she gets to go off on a diatribe about how Roger Ackroyd controlled them all with his money. But she and Flora could not do what Ursula Bourne did, which is to say, okay, if I'm going to be poor and I have to work, I'm going to go out there and be the best housemaid I can be.
Yeah.
And I will have at least some independence. And I will not have to be some overworked, underpaid lady's companion.
And there's some other scenes as well. There's a lot of scenes between Dr. Shepard and Poirot, and this is one of my favorites, is when he's going to visit Poirot, and that's their house, going in front, and Caroline is looking from the window, and you'll see a moment here. He's looking up, and Caroline is staring down,
and he sticks
his tongue out at her because he gets to go meet Poirot, and she doesn't. And again, that gives you this little thing. And of course, look at that coat. I want that coat. We could find
a wonderful dressing gown. Absolutely wonderful dressing gown. And this shows you how beautifully they followed the novel. Poirot is talking about, where Caroline gets her information from, and at the same time you're seeing his fastidiousness, his crazy fastidiousness. And Poirot is analyzing everything that he has been told. He is saying, okay, this fact, that people will lie, people will make mistakes. Every single thing has to be corroborated.
Yeah.
Am I saying that word right?
Yeah.
Corroborated.
Exactly.
Yes.
This scene goes on in which he's asking Dr. Shepard what time you left. How do you know? Well, I told you. But you lie. Oh, that's monstrous. That's true, but you have to keep your facts in order. And fortunately, the butler says you left at the same time, so you have corroboration.
And it is just absolutely wonderful. So I hope over the, because I see we've been talking for just over half an hour.
37 minutes. But let me just play one more scene for you. This is a reenactment that Poirot has with Flora and the butler.
Yes.
And again, this is the little bits of comedy that show up unexpectedly, because he's trying to recreate the scene in which Flora is at the door.
And that's Parker the butler.
And he's putting everybody up to doing this to check Parker's story, but he's actually showing what Flora did, because Flora was seen outside Roger's door and is providing an alibi that Roger Ackroyd was still alive at like 10 o'clock. And he's recreating the scene so that he can see what are they actually doing. And they jump up on the bench.
So they're
out of the way. And they recreate the scene, and they correct each other.
Corrects her because he pays attention as a professional butler. He pays attention to exactly what people say or do.
Mm-hmm.
Just like Parker notices that the chair was moved and then moved back.
Mm-hmm.
Only a professional servant would notice that.
Mm-hmm. And then they just do one more little thing. And
Parker helps him down. Parker helps Poirot down.
That's a nice little touch there. Why you bring 2 glasses? He always brings 2 glasses. For whatever reason, that's just what he does. That's part of the routine. And then they all sit down
as one.
As one, and cross their legs
Pretty
at the
much
same
as one.
Almost as one, but they're just sitting there. And again, it's these little moments that really make this.
And you see how uncomfortable Flora is. She lied. She knows she lied. She's not ready to confess yet.
Mm-hmm.
But she is uncomfortable. And this is part of the I guess Poirot's psychological working, and they're trying to show on film how
Parker, yes.
How you work
you,
on
however. So
and it's just it is so great. It is so great.
Yeah. So what's up next week?
Okay, we are not doing anything next week because it is Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. And then the following week is, of course, New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. So we are not going to be doing any we're not watching any movies officially, and we're not
2-week break.
A 2-week break, and then we will resume on darn these days, year at a glance calendars. Let's see.
On the 8th, January 8th, we'll be back.
6, 7, 8th. We will be back on the 8th of January with the Japanese version of The Murder of Roger Ackroyd. and it is intensely Japanese. They follow the novel virtually scene for scene again, but at the same time, it is intensely Japanese. It is also not 5 hours long. It is like 2 hours long.
But it's 2 hours long, and it shows you what the Agatha Christie Poirot episode could have done, because they told the same story in 2 hours and did it very, very well.
They did it very, very well. They followed the novel. They made it intensely Japanese. I would say that, well, we'll get to it when we get there. There's one flaw in the film, but otherwise, like the Russian version, it is virtually flawless, and it shows what a filmmaker can do if they trust the material. So we will see you on the Thursday, the 8th of January, with The Murder of Roger Ackroyd, the Japanese version, and then after that comes the Chinese version in Checkmate.
That's right. Now, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Happy New Year, and hope we
Year.
see you in 2026.
Absolutely.
All right. Cheers.
Mwah.
Bye-bye.